Hey guys, it's Tammy. Welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about some perfume samples that I got from my friend Karen from New Day New Scent. And we just had been chatting a little bit in her comment section on one of her videos. She always talks about this perfume called Diamond in the Sky, and I always find it really intriguing because she says it smells a little bit like Baccarat Rouge 540, but different. So I was really intrigued because Baccarat Rouge 540 is not always my preferred scent profile, but there's something about the way she described it. And honestly, right now, I can't remember even what she says about it, but I just remember that fact about it. So when I told her that I always found that one intriguing when she talks about it, she offered to send me a sample, and then we sort of got in contact and decided to do a little sample swap. And then she did a dedicated video for the sample swap, which I hadn't really even realized that I wanted to do until I saw her do it. And I thought, well, that's a great idea. So I want to talk about the samples she sent me, and she even sent me a bonus sample. I was so pleasantly surprised with this one. So I can't wait to tell you all about these 6 samples. So I'm going to start off with Fétiche La Rose by Christian Louboutin. This one has been talked about so much on YouTube. I'm sure you've heard reviews on it. And I was sort of intrigued because even though cherry isn't one of my favorite notes, I do love rose, and there was something about the way people described it, that it's really deep and dark and sexy. It just really drew me to want to try it. So that was one of the samples that I requested from Karen, and she so kindly sent it. I was so excited to be able to finally smell it. Now, when I first spray it out, okay, 2 things happen. Number 1, I get a brief whiff of celery. And I know that's sort of funny, probably, that has happened to me before. A while back, I did a sample sniff video and I talked about Lataffa Teriaq. And there it is, the celery. Every time I try this, I get celery in the opening. It smells like snapping a crisp stalk of celery right under my nose. So Quentin Biche is the perfumer for both of these perfumes. Now, the only notes that I could see in common between Fétiche La Rose and Teriaq by Lataffa are celery, I was gonna say celery, pink pepper and rose. They're the only 2 notes that I see in common. And so I'm not sure which one of those is giving that, or if it's either of them, if it's maybe a note that's not listed in Fétiche La Rose. But I do get a brief shot, just a very brief whiff of celery in the opening. But the second thing that happens in the opening is that I get a beautiful combination of cherry and rose, and I really like it. Whenever I heard someone describe this, I was craving to know, is the cherry stronger or is the rose stronger? But honestly, there were mixed opinions on it. But I feel that they're perfectly balanced, but I'm also getting a ton of woodiness. And I get the spiciness of the pink pepper. So I would definitely say that the rose and the cherry are so equally balanced, and they're so like surrounded and supported by woody, earthy notes that it really goes in my direction, my style of sexy, woody, cherry rose fragrance. I know you're probably thinking, Tammy, you don't like cherry. Well, it's not, okay. I don't hate it. It's just that cherry seems to dominate every single fragrance that it's in for my nose. So I don't really own cherry fragrances. I do own a travel size of Lovefest Burning Cherry. There are some cherry fragrances I've smelled that I do enjoy. I do like Cherry Ambition by 7 Virtues. I really like that leathery, earthy woodiness in it. I need that sort of depth and sort of a grounding aspect to a cherry fragrance, and this one has enough of it that the cherry doesn't take over. So if you're like me and cherry takes over every single fragrance that you ever smell that has cherry in it, I feel like this one is more balanced. I get 0 cough medicine vibe, and I'm very, very sensitive to a cough medicine smell. Maybe some people have gotten a medicinal vibe from this one, but I get 0, like 0 medicinal reminiscence at all in this. Oh, I do find it very mysterious, very sexy. I enjoy it very much. You know, this is not overpoweringly strong at all. It's almost a little bit powdery and gentle, but like, yet it still has an alluring, sensual vibe to it. So I'm really, really enjoying Fétiche La Rose. So now I'm gonna talk about Love-O-Matic by Room 1015. And this is the surprise one that she sent me that I wasn't expecting. So I'd heard this was sort of a laundry fresh scent, sort of the, you know, think about a laundromat with that moist air of, you know, everyone's laundry detergent steam in the air and everything. And I'd also heard that it also has a bubblegum type of scent. So I was torn about whether I wanted to try it. On one hand, I don't like the idea of the bubblegum end of it, but I do like the idea of that steamy laundromat type of air with the detergent and bounce sheets and whatever in the air. Like, I love the smell of laundry. So I was excited when I opened up my package and saw this one. I wasn't expecting it and I was super interested. So when I first spray this one out, I do get a lot of fruitiness, almost like a sort of berry fruitiness. I don't get as much of the bubblegum as I do just a fruity type of scent. And it actually reminds me of the strawberry Campino candies. They're a hard candy, but they're very creamy, and I'll pop a picture up of Campino candies if you haven't tried them. That was the smell that I was getting, like a very similar smell to the Campino candies. So I don't mind that smell. It's not something that I would just gravitate towards, but in the dry down, I start getting that laundry air smell. I start getting almost the bubbles. If you put too much detergent in the washing machine and the bubbles started overflowing and the bubbles were just popping all around you, like, I get that sort of fresh, soapy, clean smell, and I love it. I was pleasantly surprised. So I had, you know, when you first get a package, you just have the urge to spray everything on all at once. So I had sprayed everything everywhere, but I kept catching a whiff of one of them over the next few hours, and it was Love-O-Matic, and I was absolutely loving it. So I definitely prefer the dry down of Love-O-Matic when you get more of those ozonic notes and the fresh bubbly feeling. It almost reminds me in a way of bubble bath. Like, I really get the sensation of bubbles popping with that little bit of moisture and like just a fresh, clean, soapy feeling. And maybe even a hint of that fruit, like maybe it would be a bubble bath you had when you were a kid that was fruity scented. So I was really pleasantly surprised by this, especially in the dry down. I really enjoyed that soapy, clean laundry feeling I get all around me, and it really did project and it filled the air. It created like a little scent bubble around me. So I enjoyed Love-O-Matic by room 1015. Excited to give it a couple more wears. So now to the one that had always intrigued me, Diamond in the Sky by Haute Fragrance Company. And this one definitely does remind me of Baccarat Rouge 540 in a way. And if you've never smelled that, it's a very sugary, sweet, almost like a high-pitched sweetness with a lot of also a high-pitched woodiness as well. An earthiness, but not a deep, damp earthiness, but like a dry, high-pitched earthiness. That's what I get out of it. So now that I've been smelling it, I think I remember what Karen was saying about it. It's like Baccarat Rouge 540, but with caramel and berries and sweeter, cozier scents. It has cashmere woods and white woods. I've said this before, but there's something about when white woods is in a note breakdown. There's something about that that just draws me in. So I feel like the woodiness is a little bit more like mid-toned than Baccarat Rouge 540. So everything about it is, it's brought down from like a sharp smelling sweetness more to a rich, cozy smelling sweetness. This has been a real hit with me. I've worn it to bed a couple times actually because I find it really cozy and enveloping, and I've really enjoyed like the type of sweetness and the type of woodiness that's in here. I definitely get the caramel. I get that creamy sweetness. And I also get that fun, playful sweetness of the berries. But it has a lot of the similar base notes like Baccarat Rouge 540 has. Well, this has Toulouse Balsam, whereas BR 540 has fir resin, I think. So you're talking like a resinous kind of smell, but they also both have amber and moss. But Diamond in the Sky has vanilla. So you get the vanilla, you got the caramel, you have the berries, you have white woods, cashmere woods. It's just something more like full-bodied about this one compared to Baccarat Rouge 540. So I'm really happy that I got to smell this one. I've not only worn this to bed, I've also sprayed it through the day. And sometimes when I get deeper into the dry down, maybe like 5-6 hours in, I do have a little bit of a remnant of smokiness. Now, I also get smokiness throughout the fragrance, but in a good way. I really struggle with smokiness sometimes, but I really enjoy the way it's done. It's just more of like a cozy, smoky woodiness, but it doesn't have a sharp, like hurt your nose, just blew out your birthday candles and smoke went up your nose type of smokiness. But a little hint of that is in the deep, deep dry down. I don't think it would really bother me unless I put my nose right up to my skin, which I'm probably not going to be doing unless I'm actually, you know, making notes and testing a perfume. But just to wear it, I find it very cozy and sweet and warm and enveloping, and I really enjoy Diamond in the Sky by Haute Fragrance Company. So Summer Street by House of Brandt. I was really expecting this to be a really summery, fruity type of smell. And when I first spray this out, I do get a really fruity vibe, but I guess I was just expecting it to be more like a bowl of summer fruits, but it's not that type of fragrance. It has more depth, and the depth comes by way of sort of greenery and florals. There are a lot of different florals in here, and there are notes that I find usually to be more green, like the Davana and the Cassis, and I do get the honey. And I guess I had forgotten when I just thought, oh, Summer Street, that sounds like a fun one. And I had just heard Karen talking about it quite recently and it stuck in my mind. So I thought I'm gonna ask for Summer Street. And I do try to get my nose on pretty much everything by House of Brandt. I think I have smelled everything they've put out so far. I have samples, some of them I have not had the chance to talk about yet, but I wanted to talk about this now since it's fresh in my mind. You know, the honey is coming out a lot stronger in it now. I've sprayed this on my hand probably half an hour ago, and I'm getting the honey a lot more in it. And something that popped into my mind at one point when Summer Street was drying down, it reminded me a little bit of Armani Sì. And I just been looking on Fragrantica, and I see that it was compared to Sì Intense. And that's probably the blackcurrant and the cassis that's causing that comparison. So I've really only worn this once, so I don't have my thoughts fully formed on it. But what I would say is that I went into it thinking I was going to get really a summer bowl of fruits, like a really fruity smell, but I got something that reminds me more of fall. It is more deep. It is more, almost a little bit smoky, but I definitely get that honey. If you would like a fruity scent that's appropriate for fall with more rich honey in it and deeper, darker notes, like it has benzoin, it has night blooming jasmine. So it's a little more rich and fallish than I expected, which is nice because it's pretty much fall now. Yeah, it is. It's fall. Today's the 24th. So all in all, I really like this one. It took my brain a little while to get on board with what I was smelling versus what I expected to smell. I don't think smelling it up close is the ideal way for me to experience this fragrance because the honey and the benzoin and that like resinous, deep, syrupy sweetness is sort of a little bit overwhelming for me when I do that. But as you know, when you're wearing a perfume, you're not sticking your nose on your skin constantly, you're just catching whiffs in the air. So I haven't officially done a full wear test of this, but I'm definitely going to. I definitely like it. And that is Summer Street by House of Brandt. So Chamomile Satin by Dries Van Noten is one that every time I hear someone talking about it, I'm really intrigued. It sounds to me like a type of vanilla that I would really like. When I sprayed it out, I got a lot of a resinous scent, sort of almost like myrrh. You know how myrrh almost has the smell of black licorice to it? I was getting a lot of that in the opening. I know there's no myrrh listed, there's no resinous notes listed at all, but that is definitely what I was getting. Something very rich and black licoricey and deep and dark. Almost a molassesy type of vanilla. And molasses type of vanillas are not always my favorite. It reminds me in some ways of Angélique Noire and also of Dior Addict. Both of those scents are vanillas that give me a little hint of a black licorice. You might call it aniseed or something like along those lines. Not that aniseed or anise or licorice are listed in any of those fragrances, but it's what I'm smelling. That's what my nose is picking up. I don't really pick up much of the lavender because whatever is giving it that resinous myrrh black licorice vibe is sort of taking over to my nose, and the type of vanilla is deep, dark, a very, like I said, almost like brown sugar or a thick molasses type of vanilla. So this one was not my favorite of the batch. It is not offensive in any way. I don't dislike it. It just wasn't my favorite. But I do want to give it a full wear test this fall. I think fall would be the perfect time to wear this. I don't see this as a light summer vanilla. I see it as a deep, rich vanilla. I'm only saying that because I feel like when you see chamomile, you think, oh, chamomile tea, and you see lavender, you think of something lighter and fresher, but to me, this is deep, dark, rich. Yeah, petitgrain, chamomile, lavender, rose, orange blossom. It makes me think light, you know, green, a fresh vanilla, but I really don't get that. I get something very rich. Now the black licorice vibe turns more to just a hint of something like almost like a memory of black licorice, not like a full black licorice smell. But it's nice, it's pretty, like it's very nice. If you like a deep, dark, rich vanilla, I feel like this would be gorgeous. Like it's really nice. This was another one that just sort of surprised me. I was expecting something with orange blossom and rose and petitgrain and chamomile and lavender, just like a more herbal, but to me, it's deep, dark, rich, thick, and still nice, but I am going to do a full wear test this fall and see how I get along with it. It's hard to say, you know, something wasn't your favorite of the bunch without someone thinking you dislike it. I don't dislike it. I do like it. It is nice. It's just, I would say out of all of these, it doesn't align with my preferences as much as the other ones do. So it is nice. It sort of reminds me of a deeper, richer, darker version of Angélique Noire. That's sort of what I'm getting. So let me know your thoughts on that. Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm crazy? I don't know. That's sort of what I'm getting from it. So last but not least, Louis Vuitton Imagination. I hear people talking about this all the time, and it always piques my interest because I love really fresh scents. Anything fresh, clean, citrusy. I really do love those type of scents. Wow, I'm really getting the tea in it right now. I don't think I got that the first time that I sprayed it, but I'm really getting the tea and I'm really getting the citrus. I'm getting the orange. This is really citrusy, really fresh, really nice. Yeah, I can definitely get a bit of that neroli too, the bergamot, the citron. Yeah, it's like a lot of citruses all together, and definitely tea. I guess it's Chinese black tea is the note in here, but to me it's sort of almost like an Earl Grey tea in a way. I guess probably just the bergamot is making me think along those lines. So a little story about this one is I've actually been trying to help my son find a new signature scent, and I'm gonna do a little video on that, but each day I'm giving him a couple choices of something to try. All he has worn for years now is Paco Rabanne 1 Million Parfum, the Parfum version. And not that I don't like it, but I mean, I like things mixed up a little bit once in a while. So when I smell that every single day on him, I'm like, I think you need to try a new signature scent. So I have been giving him a choice of a couple perfumes each day, and he's choosing one, or sometimes he doesn't like either of them. He's very, very picky. The other day I thought, why don't I let him try Imagination, because I feel like it's very unisex. It's very different from the type of scents that he's been wearing. So I just thought, why don't we try this? He sprayed this on, and I was following him down the stairs, and I was already like, it wouldn't have had more than a minute to dry down. And I was catching whiffs of it as he was walking. I just started following him around the house. I'm like, oh my gosh, this smells good on you. So when I smell it on paper, or when I sprayed it on my own skin, it's not like my favorite scent that I've ever smelled, because I'm not a real tea girl. I don't go for tea notes and fragrance very often. And I guess I didn't even realize I was picking up on the tea as much as I was, but that is what it is in it that is just not quite like my style. Not that it doesn't smell good, but not quite my style. But when I smelled it on him, I couldn't stop complimenting him on it. I was like, oh my gosh, this smells so good on you. And he really liked it. He really, really liked it. I'm wondering like if it's going to be a contender for what he ends up with his final signature scent. Now I am going to do a video on that, and I'm going to have him on the channel, and we'll go through the whole process. Sometimes it's hard for me to even find one that he's willing to even wear. Like there were a couple that I had down here the other day, and he didn't like either of them and didn't want to wear any of them, but I will tell you all about that when I do the video with him. So thank you for joining me for this little sample sniff today. Thank you, Karen, so much for sharing your perfume samples with me. This was so much fun. Please make sure to check out Karen's channel. I will link it below for you. And I just absolutely love the way she describes perfumes, whether is she just talking about the notes, or whether she's talking about the vibe, or she'll set a little scene and describe it. I absolutely love watching her channel and hearing her descriptions, and they really help me understand what a fragrance smells like. And she has just a wealth of videos. Just go back through and watch some of her videos. She has a beautiful, beautiful collection. She has so many perfumes and describes them so beautifully. So anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking your time and spending it with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.